Hey guys, I hope everybody is doing great. Listen, this is an impromptu live. I really wasn't planning on going live today. I was just in the clouds, just kind of listening to people and just kind of falling back and stuff and just hearing some things. And I actually just wanted to talk about a couple of different things. Shout out to Ray Triggs. He was just live, and I'm not going to be long because I know that R&T Entertainment will be live at around 9 p.m. So make sure you guys go over there and subscribe to him if you have not been over there yet. But I did want to talk about Ray's video because I thought his video was great. And there was, even though he thought we were giving him pushback, in actuality, I wasn't, because he brought up a lot of topics and a lot of points that the women have been saying in the sector for months. And it's just amazing how, the moon cycles come around and how things come back. Okay. And this conversation came up tonight, and I really wanted to talk about this today. So I'm going to give you guys about a 5-minute timer. That way we can talk about this real quick. And we're going to go ahead and get right into the show because I really think this was great. Again, shout out to Ray Triggs. Even though he thought he was getting pushback, he was not. So we're going to talk about it. So I hope everybody is doing as great as me. Shout out to all of y'all who are in the clouds and those of you who will catch the replay. Tiff P, I appreciate you being in the building. Spotum, I appreciate you as well. So, guys, for those of you who did not just see Ray Triggs' video, shout out to him. You guys know that he has definitely got it down packed when it comes to the editing, when it comes to the production of a video. I truly appreciated that. I also appreciated just the commentary itself because little does he know, we actually, a lot of us agree with a lot of things that he said in that video. Sometimes we often will go to a video and see some things, and I admit that I do this even myself. I will go to a video and I will see things or hear things in that video, and I have not listened to the full video or have watched the full video to know everything that happened during that video. For instance, the other day I had watched Tiff's video, and shout out to Tiff P. But I did watch her video the other day, and I thought it was interesting that AAS was in her chat, and there was some things being said there that I was just triggered by, and it wasn't so much triggered, but it was just like, please, And so I ended up talking on that without even hearing the rest of the show and knowing about what Mr. Logic had went up on the panel and said in regards to the kids, which I'm not going to talk about because if Tiff does not wish to talk about that, we won't. Clearly, what was said was completely disturbing, and it would not be anything that I think any of the women in the sector would want to co-sign. Okay, so I think that's clear though amongst the women. But another thing I want to say is the women definitely have been talking about how many men in the sector have spoken to women in ways that are super duper disrespectful without any pushback at all. I mean, there are multiple men, you know what I mean? We can go from head to toe in the sector and talk about this if we really wanted to, if we really wanted to be technical about it. So, what are the women left to do since during that time we have not only gotten multiple pushback in regards to that, but no one has given any of the men who do this much pushback on that. There's been multiple reasons put out for why they wouldn't do so. For instance, men will protect their wives, they will protect their girlfriends, they will protect the immediate women in their families, which is understandable. But to come on a space such as YouTube or any other social media platform, many men in the sector feel that it would be inappropriate to approach multiple men with the disrespect and so forth. So, overall, this has kind of been the consensus across the board in the sector. Okay. So the women have adapted to that. Like, okay, understandable, very understandable. So what we'll do is instead of asking for that, we're looking for reciprocity, quote unquote, from men. We are rather adapt as anyone else has done. Okay. So we can choose to come to a channel if we want and watch a show or not. Or we can choose to support a content creator or not. If there's certain things that are happening on that panel that we disagree with, we just won't be there. Or we just choose not to come in and not to say anything. If it is something that, we like or we agree with, we have adapted to coming into that panel. And even though this person might say something crazy about someone we respect, we're still there. And us as women have a consensus to an understanding that just because we show up in somebody's chat room somewhere doesn't mean we agree with everything that they say, and doesn't mean that we just agree with every move that they make. Right? I mean, I think that's the overall understanding of what what the culture of the sector has been. At least that's been the conversation, or that's been the pushback that the women have gotten when it comes to this conversation. So Ray actually was the first person that I can remember in the sector that actually gave any man any pushback on how he was talking to a woman. Because if that was sincere and that wasn't really a troll move towards just Alan Logic, then were you talking to every man who has done that in the sector? Because there is multiple men in this sector who have said much worse. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about words like mammy have been thrown out. There's been all types of racial slurs put out about Black women. There's been all types of sexual innuendos towards women's children and all kinds of stuff and women out here over and over and over and over again in various places and in various spaces. So, are we going to actually be real at this point now in the sector and say, you know what? Yeah, this actually has been going on. And now we have a man in the sector. Okay. So, again, we're not asking you for protection, quote unquote, but we have a man who actually said something to a man in this sector. Is this now going to be the consensus of the men in the sector? Are we now going to change the dynamic of how things are done, how women are talked to, how women are handled in the sector? Are we now getting that reciprocity that the women have been requesting? Because if that's the case, then you know what, bro, I'm all for that. We all for that. We can go for that, for sure. But it has to be across the board. Because if it's not across the board, then what's the point of coming after one man in the sector? You understand what I'm saying? Like, to me, that would be just a troll. That's just between you and that man. Because that's what things have been said to us. Such as when one of the sisters is being trolled for months from one man in the sector. And not one man in the sector has made any videos in regards to that. Not one man in the sector has given much pushback, except one. One man. And that man began giving pushback when his wife got disrespected. Understandable. So where do we stand now? Are we really going to go ahead and say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and change the way things are done? Because then it becomes, a matter of who decides what's trolling and who decides what's real and what's disrespectful, quote unquote. Like, this conversation has gone back and forth in the sector. Back and forth. And I'm sorry, I got to give props to one particular man who actually has said something about this and has gotten so much disrespect for even saying something about it. Shout out to TMK Media, because he definitely said exactly what you said, but all the trolls and all the men pushed back on him for that. He's a simp, he's this, he's that. We Unlock Nation, another brother in the sector, who has given real pushback on stuff like this. He's a simp, he's this, he's that. So we are in a sector that seems to have a culture of what you gave this one man pushback on. So I would love to see where this goes. I really would love to see. And like I said, I'm not going to be long. I'm going to read y'all comments and stuff, and then we're probably going to get out of here because RNT is going live in about an hour. Okay, and I wasn't planning on being live. But I just wanted to bring these points out because it's just amazing. And us women, we've had several panels and have talked about these things. And we've talked about these things with the men. And it's always been kind of the same consensus from the men. I will give pushback when it comes to my family, when it comes to my wife, when it comes to this. This is the internet. This is, and it's understandable. And the women have been like, okay, cool. No, that's where we go with it. But then when we go that way, we're wrong for that too. Like, so which one do we have in the sector? Do we push back on the disrespect? You know what I mean? Do we have the men holding the men accountable for their behavior, for how they talk to the women? Are we going to finally have that? Because that's what we've been saying all this time. That's what we've been saying. And it took a troll. It took a troll to put that front and center. And now all of a sudden, we found Jesus out here. Ain't this we done found the Lord on a Saturday. Well, I would love to see if this goes across the board and if we're actually all going to do this. I would love to see what happens if that's the case. But we'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath for sure. But yes, Ray is sharp with it. Shout out to Ray. I think that was really great. And like I said, Ray, I think you thought that the women were giving you pushback, or that, we were trying to say something different, or we didn't have the same consensus. But in actuality, I totally agree. I really do. Hey, what's good, Defraud? And I appreciate you being in the building. And Too Big, I appreciate you as well. What's up, Breaking the Culture? I appreciate you, sis. Keeping it plain, you said, hey, T Pre, hello, chat. Draco Brown, hello, everyone. I appreciate you. Hey, the beautiful Bernice, I appreciate you being in the building. You said, hello, T Pre, and everyone in the chat room. Hey, We Unlock, you said, hey, T Pre. Hey, Mikey, you said, hey. You said, is there anything I can address? Well, I think you have addressed this multiple times, but you kind of stop pushing back on that so much, simply because you get tired of being kind of the only person that's fighting a situation. You know what I'm saying? So if you would like to address it again, yeah, you can. That Ray Triggs did a great video, and at the end of the video, he talked about how Alan Logic was so disrespectful to one of the most beautiful women in the sector. And it just really showed how we have literally had to adapt to this kind of stuff, because this is what the sector has been. Because if you're going to come after this man for being so disrespectful, and then address the women for not addressing that, then at the same time, you got to address every other man that has been doing this, which when you look at it, it's most of the sector has been like that. So, if disrespect is disrespect, or is it trolling, or is it real? Like, which one is it? There's been multiple occasions where this has happened, and from many different men in the sector, on many different times. But who gets to decide whether it's trolling or whether it's real? Who decides that? And who decides who gives pushback on it? Because the consensus has not been the same. It's been like, oh, we're gonna take care of our family and ours, and that's it. And we've had to understand that, and we should. You said SMH, much love, A Crafted Legacy. Your name always changes every time you came in here. You said the men of the sector are but a microcosm of society. What Ray said was great, but sorry to say, this is the culture of this sector and beyond. Exactly. It's not even just in this sector, But it's funny how he brought that up, but then turned around and brought up how the women should be giving pushback, or why would we be going to a panel, with this? Well, I mean, we could say that about every man in the sector if that's the case, or at least a multitude of men. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a multitude of men that have disrespected women across the board. You said, I hold everybody accountable. Everybody played their part. No, it isn't. Some are guilty. Exactly. I agree. You said, whoa. Hey, Stefan, I appreciate you being in the building. Hey, Teresa, I appreciate you. Happy Saturday, all. Ricky, you said, hit that like, subscribe, and tap the notification. Mikey said, this is what happens when everybody gets in feelings. Yeah, but it's nice when it comes out. You said, I'm from the old school part of the sector where the women took no disrespect. Right. You said many men. Hey T, what's happening, girl? What's up, sis? You said many men in the sector have given pushback. Example, Dita Rail and those songs that he made. Men have given pushback, but guess what? A lot of people said it's just songs, including women. Well, exactly. Well, we've all had to adapt to what happens in this sector, right? Like you give pushback, you say something, and then this is what happens when you say something. And so why even say anything? That's the point, right? Exactly. Shout out to you, Make a Change. Hey, Dr. Nikki, I appreciate you being in the building. You said, hey, Black Lounge Divine. You said, beautiful Bernice, I agree, make a change. Me too. You said, hey to Dr. Nikki. Hey, Scarlett, I appreciate you being in the building as well. Let me go ahead and check that. You said, how can we single the men out for disrespecting us when we are so often disrespect each other? And everybody disrespects everybody in the sector. So it's like, where do we get with this whole trolling and this is real and this is disrespect and this is only jokes right here. So, like where do we get that? I'm not I wasn't feeling the part where you say, like the only thing I wasn't following. I'll say that. It's not that I wasn't feeling it. It's I wasn't following when you said, that we often will say that somebody's joking and then, say that somebody's trolling. Like, how do we decide which one it is? You know what I mean? Because you're saying in this instance that he was absolutely serious, and in other instances, oh no, they're just joking. Well, how do you decide that? Who decides that? Where are the YouTube police? Where are they at? Where are the YouTube probation people where they get to decide, who's saying what and who's joking and who's not? Because again, there are multiple, situations. Like I could put a compilation of videos together of multiple times where men have been overly disrespectful and other men have said, oh, that's just trolling, or oh, he's just joking, or that's just who he is, or that's just how he is. That has happened so many times. So where do we get to decide that? Like, where do we get to say, well, you should be saying something to this person? Because if the women can't ask for that, then how can the men ask for that? You know, like which one is it? Shout out to Dr. Nikki. I definitely appreciate the super chat. You said my T Prizzle for 50. I appreciate that, sis, for the $50 super chat. Thank you. You said, Mikey said, this is what I said. Everybody plays a part. Everybody's guilty. I agree 100%. You said, I disagree. Some people actually are defending themselves. Okay, yeah, and I agree. I think there are people that really do come out here and defend themselves. Everybody's not always trolling. I definitely agree with that. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. But yeah, I definitely agree. I do think that, everybody's not always trolling all the time. Some people really do defend themselves and they put out information to defend themselves. Everybody's not jumping up and down and screaming and hollering, and so forth. And so, yeah, I definitely do agree with that part. You said everybody is not guilty. Okay. Well, I think he means like everybody has like, and what I got from that was everybody has partaken in this in some kind of way. Even if it's not, where you were doxing somebody or you were doing something like that, you definitely may have had a part in some things, or at least a part of the conversation. So, there I think everyone has had that, unless except people that are in the chat all the time. You said Black Lounge, there are some women who just don't have an issue with men disrespecting women. It has nothing to do with adapting to anything. They just don't care all that much. And that's for those women, but I'm talking about the women that were addressed in this video. So that's for me, and that's for like there was another person that was addressed in the video in regards to that. And yeah, that's true. But in regards to what this person was talking about, yeah. So you said DFC salute, bro. And you said so true, T Pre. You said it's about perspective and respecting boundaries. Exactly. Like, why is it that, women cannot have a particular perspective and request that respect for boundaries, and no one says anything, and then finally we've got someone who does say something, and now it's like, okay, yeah, is this the direction that we're going to take the sector? Because I think that's what we should be doing, or at least we've been asking about that for a long time. You said it's not about not caring. I've been disrespected by more women than men in this sector, so that's my perspective. Okay, and some women feel the same about you. You know what I'm saying? And men feel the same about you, and when you feel the same about some men, and it just goes back and forth like that. And that's y'all are making my point. Y'all are literally helping me make that point. So you said keeping it plain, Nikki. Hello. You said very true, Dr. Nikki. You said the lines are blurred between trolling and disrespect. Many have been disrespectful, but gets dismissed as trolling. Exactly. It's just a big mess. Exactly. My point exactly. Like he even said that in the video. He was like, I can understand if it's just, somebody just joking and somebody doing that, but you were being real. Like, and I'm like, well, he has said a lot of stuff, right there at that moment, but I've heard men say a lot worse. You know what I'm saying? And it's literally brushed off as trolling. So which one do we have here, sir? Like I would just like to know. You said, will you enter a YouTube circle? Will you enter a YouTube circle? Everything goes. You don't know what you're going to expire. You said, Teresa, people say it's trolling when people clap back. Exactly, T. Pre. You said, Teresa, and you said the so-called Umar sector was built on disrespect. Exactly. Exactly. You said, I agree with you, Teresa. Hey, Josephine, the chat sector. I appreciate you, sis. And you said, hey, Nikki. And you said, T. Pretty, the solution is the women have to stop caring about what the women or men in the sector think. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. And you said, I meant to say, expect you just, wait a minute. You said, I meant to say, expect you just don't know what you're going to expect from this YouTube world or YouTube sector. You said, sorry for my misspelling. You okay, Mikey? You said, hey to Joe. But yeah, to her point, I really think that this is very, very true. And this is something that we've done a long time ago. So if you guys see us come to a panel or come and talk to someone or come and enjoy the commentary or come and enjoy that moment with that person, then I think it should be perfectly okay for everybody to do that. And nobody should be policing anybody and who they should be talking to or how they should be going or how they should be coming on a panel. Because if we're not going to actually clean up the nonsense in the sector all the way across the board. You understand what I'm saying? Then who gets the right to decide whether or not someone says this is trolling or this is not, or how someone, how a video appears to someone or not? If someone decides that they feel they've been trolled, that is their choice. If someone feels like they feel like this person is being real, that is their choice. Okay. And there shouldn't be anybody that's telling anybody whose panel they should be on, what they should be saying, how they should be saying it, and give that person as an adult the opportunity to make the decision on their own. If they've seen the full context, okay, you can show them that context. That's great. But at the same time, people have the right to make their decision about where they want to go and who they wish to support for that moment and for whatever reason they choose to. And that's been the nature of the sector, right? I mean, that's just what it's been. So if it's not going to be where everybody is changing the direction of the sector, then that portion of it would be irrelevant. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, this is what the sector has been built on, and that's just that. I'm gonna go ahead and end the show, guys. You said I meant to say oh, I read that. And you said hey to Joe, and you said hey to the beautiful Bernice. You said at T, how do you expect people to not have feelings and be human? Okay, yeah, okay. You said hey Teresa. You said micromanaging in the sector. Yeah, I kind of felt that a little bit. You said Dr. Nikki, I understand that. I know. You said micromanaging these nuts. We gonna end the show on my sister saying that. Shout out to my Nikki. All right, guys, listen, I really appreciate all of you for being in the building. Just wanted to have a quick, just a topic on that. But again, shout out to Ray Triggs. It was a great show. Definitely did appreciate the show. But you guys make sure that you go over and subscribe to him. Also subscribe to R&T Entertainment. He will be live at 9 p.m. I'm pretty sure he's going to have a fire show as he always does. And I will talk to you guys later, okay? Peace, guys.